Hey, I'm Matthew from Everyamp. On my left, I have a 2020 Model Y from June that's VIN like 17,000, so fairly early. On my right, I have a 2021 VIN 129,000. It has the new dual pane windows on the front that Tesla says make the car quieter. So we're gonna put that to the test. Both cars have 20-inch wheels and tires. On the 2020, I have the Zero G wheels that I got from the referral program for my Model 3, and I have some Continental tires. On the 2021, it has the factory 20-inch induction wheels with the factory Goodyears. Both of these tires have the foam inside of them, so they should be pretty comparable as far as that goes. So we're gonna take these both out in 3 different scenarios. We'll do a rough road at 50 miles an hour, a smooth road at 50 miles an hour, both of those to give us kind of a road noise test, and then we'll go out at 70 miles an hour to get that wind noise test. Now, a lot of these videos I've seen out are using something like a decibel meter. And that seems like a good thing to use. It tells you how loud something is. But the problem with it is it only gives you one number, and audio is a little more complicated than that. It's almost like saying that one song is better than another because it has a faster beat. There's a little more to it. So we're instead gonna use an audio recorder. We're gonna do some sound clips in each car, and then we're gonna do some math and make some graphs that show really what's different about the two. And I'll also play back the sound clips from each so you can hear the difference. If you can see the difference and you can hear the difference, you can be pretty confident that there's an actual difference there. I just finished crunching the numbers on my laptop here, and I've gotta say, the results are pretty conclusive, and that's pretty rare doing this stuff. So the way I'm doing this is using a program called Audacity. I take those sound clips from the recorder and I look for a just clean 5-second window of time where there weren't any big bumps or any wind gusts or cars nearby to just get kind of a baseline for each scenario. I take that 5-second sound clip and I plot a spectrum analysis on it using Audacity. So that takes that time clip and turns it into a frequency clip. So for every frequency, I get a sound level. So that's what I'm graphing. So let's take a look at the first graph. It's the rough graph at 50 miles an hour. The blue is the 2020. The red is the 2021. So this is just kind of comparing the two. Across the bottom axis, you see frequency. So we go from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, which is the range of human hearing. On the vertical axis, we have minus 150 decibels to minus 10 decibels. For every 10 decibels step down, we perceive that as about half of the loudness. So you can see, starting at the lowest frequencies here, 20 to 200 hertz, they are much, much higher than the higher frequencies. And that just kind of goes to show where using a decibel meter doesn't tell you enough information. If it's focusing on those low frequencies, which are much louder, that's all you know. You know that one frequency of whatever is the loudest. And what's important about that is our hearing doesn't really work that way. This 200 to 6,000 hertz range is where our hearing is most sensitive. So if we look across the graph kind of at a whole, you can generally see that the red is below the blue. That's true in the 200 to 6,000 range. And we definitely have some spikes here and there, like this around 180 hertz range. There's definitely a spike down in the 2021 where it's kind of elevated in the 2020. So we may look at that some more in the next graph. So this graph is the difference between the two. So I'm subtracting the 2020 from the 2021. So that means if the 2020 is higher than the 2021, it will make the graph go negative. So the first thing that really stands out to me here is there's a big negative dip right here at about 180 hertz. So that's what we saw in that versus graph is really showing up over here, and it's really amplified. Don't really know exactly what's causing that. It's just kind of a point of interest. But generally, we look across the graph here and things are below zero. I'd call the average at, -2 to -3 decibels. In particular, we look in this 200 to 6,000 range. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely averaging below 0 there, 2 to 3 decibels. So that's all well and good, but can you hear a difference? So here's the 2020 and then the 2021. Now, depending on what you're listening to this on, you may or may not be able to hear a big difference, but I'm listening to it on a set of Sony WHH900N headphones, and I can hear a big difference. So let's take a look at the smooth plots. So this is a smooth road at 50 miles per hour. Again, 2020's in blue, 2021's in red. Similar situation where the lower frequencies are much higher than the higher frequencies in level. We have this dip again at around 180 hertz for the 2021. So interesting, something's going on there. Generally speaking, again, the red is well lower than the blue in this one. So let's take a look at the difference. So I think I forgot to mention in the last one, what we're looking at here, the light blue is the raw data being subtracted from each other. The dark blue is a 10-point moving average of that data, just to try to help smooth things out a little bit. But again, we can clearly see that pretty much this entire dark blue line is completely below 0. So that's pretty indicative of a difference. For this one, I'd say it's 3, maybe even 4 decibels lower on average. But again, let's see if we can hear the difference. For the highway test, I'd call this kind of a medium roughness highway at 70 miles an hour. So again, 2020 in blue, 2021 in red. We have sloping down from low frequencies to high. We don't so much have that dip that we saw in the other ones here, but still the red is generally lower than the blue, particularly in the 6,000 to 200 hertz range. Right in this 200 to 800 for sure. So take a look at the difference here. Again, that blue line is generally below 0. I'd say 2 to 3 decibels on average. And one interesting thing is our dip isn't as prevalent here, but it has also moved up in frequency. It's very close to 200 now. That just kind of makes me wonder if maybe that's not tied to the wheels or the tires, something that's rotating faster, getting a higher frequency. I don't know, just a guess. But let's see what this sounds like. So yeah, I can see a difference in the graphs and I can hear a difference in the recordings. So I feel like the difference is really there. I even went back and double checked my sound recorder to make sure that I hadn't changed a setting in between, because I really wasn't expecting to see that big of a difference, but it's there. One thing to keep in mind though about this 2 to 3 to 4 decibel range like that, our hearing is not good at all about judging absolute values. That's actually what a decibel meter is good at. Our hearing, not so much. So just because we can tell a difference in this side by side, that doesn't mean that you would go buy a new Model Y and go, oh, it's so much quieter. When I was sitting in the Model Y, if you made me guess if it was quieter, I would have guessed it was quieter, but I couldn't tell that big of a difference just in person driving one a few minutes after the other. But we are considering selling our 5-seater to get the new 7-seater, and this is a nice little perk to go along with it. Another thing is I don't think those window panes alone would have caused this much of a change. I think Tesla has done some other things that we really haven't heard much about to make these improvements in aggregate. So just because you see a car that has the dual window panes, you may not get exactly the same result. But kudos to Tesla for these continuous improvements in the car. You know, it's kind of the way it has always been with Tesla. They're always making incremental changes, so there's no better time to buy one than right now. So I hope this helps. I know it's a little more detailed than just getting a number off of a decibel meter, but I hope I've shown you that it really does matter. There's a lot more going on than just what a decibel meter can tell you. So I've made some other videos like this on the channel showing different accessories and different sound deadening techniques. So check those out if you're interested. But otherwise, leave us any questions in the comments, and thanks for watching.